Spud, you better have a unique opening. I'm telling you. I'm no pressure. Unique.
No pressure. An Englishman in Belgium. Sorry. Yeah, an Englishman living in Belgium today told me I was wrong about Irish place names. I love when people do that. I love it.
Well, explain the whole story, because I'm sure you were wrong, because you have been known to be wrong before.
Shut up, you wasn't wrong. Oh, God. This must be my friend. I'm so alone.
What he told you? Wexford was pronounced.
No. He had some he had some question on one of those Celtic studies groups or something like that. He had some question about why are so many names in Scotland? Jesus, what was the way it went now? So I can explain the answer to you properly. Basically, why is there so many English place names in Scotland compared to other Celtic countries? Yeah,
right.
And so and then I said, yeah, well, look, it's the same in Ireland. Like that's what colonizers do. Mm-hmm. Something like that, And then he went into this big tirade about how wrong I was and how Irish place names are Irish. And then I gave him the example of like, well, no.
Yeah.
Okay, I know where you're coming from. The Irish place names come from the Irish word that English people couldn't say, and then anglicized it, which is the size of an angle. What the fuck does that word mean? Anglicized.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Just say made it English. Anglified. Britishized.
Yeah.
Anglified is better than
anglicized. It's also like the Anglo-Irish talks. They used it in that.
What? What are you on about? You're not Anglo, you're England. Shut up. Anyway, see, this is Irish people telling English people what to think, rather than an English person living in Belgium telling an Irish person living in Poland what to think about his own country.
It's very complicated. Very complicated.
Yeah, it is getting complicated. I'll bring it back. So anyway, basically, I give an example. Like the place I'm from in Ireland, it's called Tamun. But the Irish word is Chocmunna, and Chocmunna literally means the house of Mun. He was the saint. So the English word then is Tamun, which has nothing to do with Mun's house.
Yeah.
So, he's arguing that, no, that is an Irish place name. Whereas I would argue, no, that is definitely not a place name. No. There's another one as well, like there's a place near me called Bridgetown. And it would be, what would that be in Irish? Droghednua, yeah? Mm-hmm. Droghednua. And so the English just rolled up and went, there's a bridge here. Okay, let's call it that. Bridgetown.
Yeah. Bridgetown.
And it's like, that wasn't the name before we were taken over. You know what I mean? So it's like, anyway, it's storm in a teacup kind of thing.
Yeah, there is a kind of thing that there is a couple though that happened the other way in the, I think like, I'm probably wrong in this example, but it's like something like Oldcastle, where it was given the name Oldcastle and then later translated into Irish as Cashlon. What would it be? Shan Cashlon.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's a different thing. It's not coming from it. It's like, and same as like we used to have Glushton for car. It's obviously not a traditional Irish word. There was a meeting of some people with beards, and they came up with, and then a couple of years later we'll come up. Yeah, no, we'll just go with car.
The French are mad for that. The French, when new words come out, the French do actually sit down and have meetings. There are people who have this job. Like, I think the French language, I think it's the only one that doesn't call a computer something similar to computer.
Oh, right.
It's called ordinateur, or something, whatever. Je suis onions. What is it? Où am I in the... fuck, I can't do that. Anyway.
See, France changed the flag colours again.
Yeah, they're gone back to post-revolutionary colours, is that right?
Well, no. Well, what my reading of it is that the
obviously post, because that's where it came from. Yeah.
In the 70s, where the changes to have the blue to be more like the European Union blue. And then obviously they went, nah. I went back. It's a much nicer colour of blue that they have than the European Union blue is not that nice. It's like a royal blue or something, whatever. But it's I know, just a very simple thing, but it was like people on Reddit was going like, I'm in France and I didn't know this was happening. It wasn't announced or anything. But like, can you imagine trying to change the flag in Ireland?
Oh, people would go fucking nuts, wouldn't they?
Yeah. But we still have that thing as green, white and gold and green, white and orange, because some people just can't even say orange.
Yeah, I had this with me ma the other day. Mickey has a thing, the young fella has a thing with flags. All kids at some stage have this thing with flags. You'd be driving around something. What flag is that? What flag is that? What flag is that? what's it called? Vexillology? Is that no? What is it? I don't remember. There's a word for it.
Flag.
Flag. Flag. And he was asking Ma about the Irish flag, and she says green, white, and gold. Is it, Ma? It's not gold. It's orange. No, it is gold. Ma, Google it. It's orange.
Yeah.
Like it's us, the Irish. Then the white for the peace, and then the orange for the Orangemen. It's a flag it's symbolic. We want peace. You know, that's what it is. Gold.
Yeah.
We
and
want
the two parts of the flags
the Irish people want. Yeah, the Irish people want peace of winning gold medals at the Olympics. What? Makes no sense. Of course, it's not gold. It's orange.
Yeah.
But
there's a song, though, isn't it? It comes from a song, the green, white, and gold. Like that. That's where the change
that's
happens.
right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's where it comes from. I like the old, the really old Irish flag. The first flag that would have been the blue one with the harp on it. I think that's a kick-ass flag.
That's used occasionally for some sort of ceremony, though, isn't it? Like you see it.
It's the seal, the presidential seal, and the government uses it as stuff as well. I think that's kick-ass. If Ireland was to become a united island, not that I live there, I think that's the flag to go with. You know.
Yeah. Well, the most important thing would be what would be the rugby song. You know, if there was United Ireland.
Of course, the rugby song.
Oh God! Hey, for people who don't know, there was issues over that. Ireland is such a strange country, very strange country.
Ireland is a strange country. In some sports, we're one island. In other sports, we're not one island. Yeah. In the Olympics. The Olympics is a mess as well. If you're born in Northern Ireland, you can be like, for this one I'm going to be Irish, and then but like tomorrow I'm going to be British in a different sports. Like, what? What? Yeah. Who makes up these rules? You know?
The 90s Irish football team was just anything goes. Literally anything goes. You once wear to Ireland? Yes, you're Irish. Spud, we have to acknowledge the obvious, that you no longer look like you are in prison. Yeah, it looks really cool, man. It's the whole thing.
Thanks, man.
The ambience is so much better. You look happier. You look more content. You look,
sticking some timber up on the wall.
10% funnier. I don't know what the story is. So explain what these things are, man.
I know, sure. I just had these panels I bought a while ago, and I'm wanting to do it for ages because people slag me in the comments about those Spud living in a shantytown, like. Yeah. So I just covered it over. That's all, and that's the stuff.
Well, I meant I meant to explain your art.
The stuff I made. So that's the first on here. Can anyone see that? No, the microphone thing is in the way. That's the Scandinavian protection ruin. There's a Celtic cross there. Can you see that one? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Yeah. There's the Celtic cross. That's yours. You know that one.
Yeah, I've seen that one before.
And there's and they're just two these two kind of sigilly things that seem to bring me good luck. I don't know. Cool. So I'm going to keep them. And I really like this one for some reason. He's always nice to me. I don't know. Cool. We get on. Cool. Yeah. So, just make the place look decent. Jesus Christ, it's a mess. I've been wanting to do for ages. So, got out me drill and hammer and stuff the other day and had great fun doing it.
Does it literally stop like an inch past the camera though? Like it's the rest of the room, just the cardboard as well, or the entire thing?
Shut up, Tommie. Shut up, Tommie.
Yeah, don't move the camera at all.
No. Well, the wall on my left. That's there's not just. Well, I suppose. No, it's too hard to cover because the desk is... Anyway, no, I can't do it. The one in front of me, I can't get to it. The desk is in the way. The one beside me, yeah. Yeah, exactly. You're right, It's only where the camera can see.
Yeah, but that's all that matters. But, it's it's all that exists once it's on the telly. That's it. Anything outside the telly doesn't exist. It's we had some interesting responses to our assertions last week. Well, Spud's dissertation on Damon Brand being doctor, not a medical doctor, Dr. Skinner. That was some of the most fun I've had in a long while on the internet. That
was great crack, wasn't it? It was
really
like
good fun. Yeah.
It was like in the old days of the internet before trolling got a bad name.
Yeah. But it was harmless. That's the thing. Because most trolling is not trolling. It's
just fun. Most trolling is terrible, horrible stuff. Yeah. But like this was just fun, And
the good thing about it was you made a good case, so it wasn't just random kind of let's make up something. But it's so I suppose it's so absurd in one thing that it has to be true. You know what I mean? No one could believe it, so it's definitely true. But even Stephen Skinner got in on the case and replied that no, he wasn't. But I mean, what do you expect?
But I mean, that's the thing. Look, look, for the first things we learned in journalism 101, you know, do not believe anything until it's been officially denied. So there you are, from the horse's mouth. Doctor, not a medical doctor, Stephen Skinner says he is not your man. I forget his name even. Damon Brand.
yeah. Good fun.
I don't know. I mean, it's possible. I mean, Skinner obviously knows the stuff, but then again, he also likes Crowley's poetry, so you got to be calling into question his character then.
Foolish Fish did make a good point, though, that he says that because of the design of the Golden Horde books, which is Stephen Skinner's real books that he put his names on, are so bad, which they are, and the Gallery of Magic are really good.
Yeah,
that there's no way that's the same person.
No, it's impossible. It's impossible.
It is strange, though.
99%.
Yeah, but it is strange, those things, though. Like, as Fish said again, that maybe he read the Damon Brand book before he did the lecture, but even that's a bit unlikely too. Like, you know,
I can't see Stephen Skinner writing Damon or reading Damon Brand, even though they're the same person.
You can write him, like he can write, but he wouldn't read it. He just writes it and then throws it away. Like.
Yeah, he doesn't proofread it or edit it. He just writes. Oh, it's like it's like when you have a song in your head, or when I have an article to write. It just kind of, you don't have any control over it. You just kind of vomit it onto the page and smash a keyboard.
That's what, just put it on Amazon and it's done. There you go, book. True story.
You know,
True story. I'm having a very strange kind of a thing with YouTube at the minute. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. But
it was great. It was great that everyone. I mean, okay, everyone took it in. Most people took it in the heart that it was meant. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, that's a funny idea. So, maybe it is, but obviously it's ridiculous.
Yeah, there was only one or two that was kind of going, what? No, this is definitely not getting going. Yeah, really? Is it? Really? A couple of people sent me a message going, I've been laughing all week about this. And it's going, great. That's what we want. But did you actually listen to the podcast, or did you just go with the title? Come on. Did it get us any more listeners? Not sure it did.
No, I wouldn't think so. But sure, I mean, is he well known? He would be well known, wouldn't he? Dr. Stephen Skinner.
Within the circle of circles.
Within those circles. But it's a pretty particularly kind of, is it a very nerdy circle of magic? Is that's what he's most?
Possibly. Like, I mean, it's the Grimoire thing. Like, I mean, it has its own.
Okay. So what I'm basically asking,
which is quite,
he
is quite a nerdy kind of approach to it. Yeah. Do everything exactly right, and down to the yeah.
Okay, so what rephrase it then. So in chaos magic circles, is he someone that's kind of known and respected, or is it more a ceremonial ritual thing? He
would be known in chaos magic circles mostly, I would say, because Gordon White goes on about him an awful lot. And that's how I know him. So that would be the chaos magic in. But like, I mean, he's definitely like one of the more famous people in the genre, I suppose. But just because his output is so massive and he's touched on so many things and that. Yeah. But yeah, I think his main thing is Feng Shui. Like, he seems to really enjoy that more than that. But he's only 2 or 3 books in it. But I don't know. Seems like a decent dude. Like, he seems all right. Like, he's a couple of
he seems lovely. Yeah,
he talks about. I think it's in maybe it's Watkins again, could be Tradwell's, whatever. But another lecture was just talking about different things. It's very good, worth checking out.
I really hope he listened to the podcast. I know he didn't, because he's like 100 years old. He wouldn't. Hey, podcast. What is a podcast?
Well, he's not going to listen now.
No, he didn't listen now. But like, I'd like to think that he did listen and pissed himself laughing at the crack we were having, because.
Well, I believe all of that to be true, so it's fine.
I want to believe it's true. Like, that's me with everything, isn't it? It's like, the thought's gone on my head now. No, it's gone. Carry on. That was obviously bullshit.
There's absolutely no. Well, I mean, that's the thing to say. I don't know if that travels around the world, but that if you forget what you're saying, that it's a lie. I don't think that's true. Sometimes I just think my brain's shit. And it's not necessarily a lie. But there's nothing more. He's just kind of out. And then, 3 seconds or 30 seconds later, you remember when the conversations get on to geese or something completely different. So
that's what it was. It was like,
geese.
Geese brought it back to me. Geese. G is connected with G that I wrote down here. GW. Gordon. Yeah, you mentioned Gordon White there. He's a book coming out or something, didn't he?
Yeah,
because he's kind of gone quiet, isn't he?
Well, I don't know if he has. I think he's just like he's blogging more than he ever has. Well, not more than he ever has in the last while, since he kind of turned into a podcast. He's like a couple of blogs a month. So he's hitting that. But he's since he got, let me see, since the incident earlier in the year on Twitter, I think he literally only uses Twitter as I have a blog post out, the podcast is out, and doesn't kind of, what's that word?
I know he's locked though. You can't follow him until he gives.
No. I think
okay.
he's back. I think he's.
That's gone,
free.
is it?
Yeah, I think so. I think you told me that of all people. So
maybe I did. I probably follow him. I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, I did a couple of his courses there recently, just because I like checking in with Gordon every now and again. Just I mean, I know all the things. I know all the arguments for and against and all that. But when it comes to the actual knowledge stuff, I think he's pretty good. It's just the opinion-based stuff that I find more difficult to absorb, I suppose, is the point of saying it. But his last one was on aliens, psi, and fairies and stuff, so it kind of tied into an awful lot of stuff that we've been talking about over the last while. I didn't finish it yet, though, but I will. I think of the last one to watch.
Did he subscribe to the Patrick Harper thing?
Yeah, but he would, RuneScape would have a big Patrick Harper type of thread, like that whole thing of that it's the thing emerging as a different thing over the years, the Patrick Harper, like I first heard that from Gordon White, and then it turned out it was Patrick Harper, which, and maybe it's not even Patrick Harper's, but that book is 90s, isn't it, the Demonic Reality, so that 90s, does predate RuneScape. But yeah, you did one of the courses you were saying, the Grimoire one?
Yeah, Grimoire one's great. Yeah, I really liked it, because, you know, looking into all the angel stuff, I know there's an angel one too. I must get that one. There's it was just kind of learning all the history of them and stuff like that, and there's almost too much to go into it because it's so fucking well researched. It's unbelievable, the course. Like it's where did you find the time to do it? He knows everything on it, you know, and it's presented in quite an objective kind of way. There's nothing about the conspiratorial stuff that he's kind of known as now. There's none of that. It's just
doesn't
like
come through in the courses really at all. It comes a bit on the bonus material courses where he's done stuff in 5G and different stuff, but the actual courses themselves, it doesn't really filter in at all.
Yeah, it looks, you know, obviously he knows his stuff. The only
thing I find a bit, not annoying, but it kind of hard, is that he'll be doing something, he goes, and of course, and here we come to Black Man, blue, whatever it is, and it's like going, as if I'm meant to know him, and you go, I don't know him. Yes, Jack Staff, and he was, of course, as we all know. I go, what? No, could go back a bit. Who is this man? But yeah, it's pretty good, and it's PowerPoint presentation. Also, he has a background in advertising and media, so he's well used to doing that kind of stuff, and he does it kind of live as well. So it's ish live, but so it's kind of conversational, and rather than just, and on this slide we have a picture of a horse. Let's look at the horse.
You don't. There probably are edits, but I didn't hear any edits. There's no obvious edits. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and even every now and again there's and you go, cool, I'm glad you left that in. That's brilliant.
Yeah, definitely a smoker is Gordon. Definitely, you can tell that. Like,
definitely cigarettes.
Lay off the smokes, man. Lay off the smokes. You'll live a bit longer.
Yeah.
You know?
The new book, Scarlet Gamer, I think the pre-sale's coming out this month. Which I always like. I understand the need for pre-sales, particularly in cult publishing, where you need the money to actually go then and print it. But it's also like, I'm buying something now and I'm not getting it till what, February? I don't want that.
February?
Whatever
Christmas is coming, man. What the fuck? I saw my money.
But it's like even Jason Miller's new book is like 9 months away or something. But that said, I remember when the Dave Grohl book, that it's brilliant, I'm nearly finished now, it came out and it was like a year away. Like, whatever. But it eventually comes around and there it is in your inbox one day, you know. But like, I want everything now. Can I have it now, please? And the worst thing is that, like, I think Gordon says, like, it's written 3 or 4 months, so it's completely and utterly finished. So I could have it now. There's nothing stopping it. But such is.
He mentions the Starships is because he's 3 books now. This will be the 3rd book. Is that right?
So there is Starships, which is the Scarlet imprint. There's Pieces of 8, which has the most fantastic artwork for the cover of that you will ever find. I wonder who did that. He's an exceptionally handsome man. And and the Chaos Protocols, which is the Llewellyn book. So Llewellyn is kind of like the I don't know, the popular publisher that people love to hate on.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
But they sell everything, so like
yeah. You know, it's like they'll sell chaos magic, Satanist books along with crystals to heal your dog. Whatever it is. Yeah, but
so he mentions starships a lot in the Grimoire one, but like, what's it about?
It's about the subtitle is the prehistory of the spirits. Isn't it prehistory of the spirits. It's just about the his kind of worldview or his cosmology, exactly, pretty much like it, and come back to Göbekli Tepe and stuff like that, and how it kind of evolved and how the spirits evolved with us and stuff. You will really like it, I would say. I would say
probably would, yeah. If that's really what it is, yeah.
And it's like kind of in the, but not. It's kind of like a alternative history, but it's not. It's a well researched kind of, and you go right. That's not just saying, you know, it's not like Sakurai Sitchin or something like that, or the Chariots of the Gods, where it's, and this means an alien. There's a well researched. Made up. There's a well researched, and you go right. Okay, that's. I mean, it's more acceptable than Stephen Skinner is Damon Brand. You know, there's a bit more research and actual thing to it. So yeah, you should dig it out. It's on. I think like you used to only be able to get it like on the Scarlet imprint stuff, but they put all the stuff on Kindle now, which is it's handy. You know.
All right, I still almost pick it up then. So no, it sounds good because like I love that perennialism.
Yeah.
Stuff. And okay, perennialism is a bit different. That's more about the spirituality.
He definitely is not coming from any kind of awakening Baptist head type kind of perspective at all. No, it would be, it's pretty much it's a spirit model stuff. Like, but it's a long time since I read it. So like I read it the week before it came out because I did a review of it. So
but like it still points at the same thing rather than say perennialism is there's one religion, there's one God, yada yada. It's more that like all of these spirits, they all come from, they're all the same thing, whether you're working with I don't know, servitors in Brazil or you're doing shamanic journeying in Siberia, like the entities still come from the one thing
kind of, but he would make a point that not all goddess figures are the same goddess. There's a thing that which okay, I'm with that. Like it's not saying that every Hecate is really Mary, because she's not. But she also is. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Good. I'd be interested to see, but I might read it myself. Oh God, how can I reread a book when there's about 10,000 new books I want to? You should do it. There's an audiobook of Chaos Protocols, but he doesn't read it. I don't know. Really should have read it. And there's no audiobook of Starships. They were going to do one at one point, but. Never.
would people not buy it because there's an Aussie accent or something rather than? Well, I
assume that's always a kind of a that is something like.
Maybe,
but I would
see.
Not being American, I suppose I'm more exposed to many different accents, so it doesn't faze me as much in the way I can. I know Americans do have a hard, but they have like 50,000 accents too. So I mean,
they have tons of accents. What's the problem? Jesus Christ! You ever tried to talk to someone from Texas? You're like, what the fuck language are you talking? What the fuck? From
Kerry. What? Are you actually speaking English? Because you mightn't be. Really. So animistic. That's the new one. I will get it. Like, and I'm looking forward to it. And again, as I say, I've some of Gordon's things like I'm not in line with it at all, and there's definitely paranoia in it. As far as I'm concerned, but I do think he's a lot to say, and which is also what we said at the time, that it's he doesn't need to be cancelled. He's not the thing is he's not kind of doing all the stuff out in the public, at least not now anyway. You have to pay money to go and listen to him tell you this stuff. You have to seek him out, kind of a thing, which is I suppose in one sense fair enough. I don't really know how I feel about all of that stuff, because even if I don't agree with it, I think people should be allowed to say these things, but I also know by people saying these things it causes this other stuff to happen, and I really don't know what the right thing is, because censorship's obviously shit, but can everyone do and say whatever they want? That obviously leads to shit. I don't have you worked that out? Do you have an answer?
I do not have an opinion.
You don't have an opinion. Say take David Icke, like that thing. Should he be allowed to say whatever he wants? Yes, but also him saying whatever he wants has not good outcomes. But
Well, I mean, David Icke would have way more influence than Gordon White.
Yeah.
Definitely way more.
Yeah, of course.
As in, like he, influenced just in numbers wise. He is more well known. Like, you know, it's normal for your crazy auntie to read a David Icke book.
Sure,
No one, unless you're in.
Yeah, like
balls
my
deep
mum
into
knows who
Chaos
David
Magic,
Icke
you
is.
don't know. Yeah,
she does not know who Gordon White is. Yeah,
exactly. But like, it came up on Mr. Barford is back with his podcast. It came up on that. We're talking about the narcissism stuff.
I haven't got to listen to the new episode. I'm listening to tonight. I have the car for an.
All right, I won't spoil it for you. But it's about,
walk away because I mean.
Basically, it's about where the idea from. We have this thing of narcissistic behaviour, and he makes the point that what we understand as narcissistic behaviour isn't really what they meant in the Greek myth of Narcissus at all.
Right.
Poor Narcissus was
fell in love with his own image.
He fell in love with his own image, but it's because he was so fucked up that he couldn't give love to other people, you know. And he connects it with Austin Osman Spare and the idea of self-love, which, like, you know, teenage Spud goes self-love.
Yeah, self-love.
You know, but like he connects it with oneness, unity, awakenings, stuff like that. So hey, look, it's Duncan Barford. His podcasts are amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm looking forward.
That's what everyone should be listening to.
Yeah, I'm glad to see he's coming back. He was saying that, I said, what are you going to do, 10 episodes each season and take a break? He goes, well, I'll do a few episodes until I run out of ideas and then wait a while and see if I have any more. Fair enough, I suppose.
Good. No, it's good, you know. I'm delighted he's doing more because I was heartbroken when he said he's going to stop. But then, like, he puts a ton of work into his stuff. He can.
Yeah, he really
a ton of
prepares and writes things
Me
down.
and you ready, Spud? Yeah, I'm ready. You ready, Tommy? Yeah, I'm ready.
Literally before we hit recording this, go, have we anything to talk about? Nah. No, it's fine. Will it? Legends.
Yeah, we'll see. No, but there was this connected to Barford's thing and back to Gordon White and stuff, is that, like, I think that when people are in these kind of, what's the term, echo chambers, isn't that what they use? They kind of start believing themselves themselves a bit too much, and that leads to paranoia and stuff. Like I see, like, I can see relations of mine, older people, our parents' generation, and they're fucking obsessed with Facebook. They're always on it, like, and it's just it's like, while they think that they're seeing the world and getting lots of information from everywhere, like, actually it's narrowing of their vision down to one kind of thing, you know. Yeah. And so it's very dangerous and no one wants it. It's best to be like oh jeez, I can't remember the philosopher's name now that I had a hard on there for a while. The German fella who was a contemporary of Jung, he had this idea about how everything will get more and more what's the word I'm looking for? Fragmented, broken up. Yeah.
Okay.
But the way to like, you need to transcend that. You need to be able to see the fragmentation of everything and be above it and say, yeah, no, look, we don't need to be pulling apart. We actually kind of need to be together, you know? Yeah. Which is, it's good. Yeah, I think I like that philosophy, you know?
Yeah. I think another factor in the kind of, and this is, I'm not pointing at Gordon White in particular at all, but just a more general thing, is that when you can kind of, once your income and your livelihood starts depending on opinions that you have, it makes it way harder to change them, you know. And it's so, like, say an example would be, imagine I decided, or I came to the conclusion that magic was all rubbish, right, and really bad, and I go, right, that's great, yeah, how do we pay the mortgage now? You know what I mean? It's like, you know, so what do I say? The 47s are all rubbish and take them off sale, stop doing the podcast. No, and I you know, I've such a small income compared to, say, what David Icke would have, say, on something like that. And, like, can you imagine David Icke going, they're not lizards, right? How do I do this? There's no way out of it, you know. And it's like, I know you won the Angel one. I can never remember it. She did all the angel cards, and she halfway through it, not halfway near the end, she said, no, it's all rubbish. I'm a Christian now, and has nothing to do with her previous life. And I suppose Tim Freak as well, in a different way, he wrote 35 books, and the first 32 he says are wrong. I think that's fair. But I think it's very brave because he could have equally went, no, that this is I'm stuck with it, which I think some people do, because like it's hard to get out of that. If you
I know I'm laughing here, but it's I think hey, look, it's the right thing to do to grow and learn and
like
look back and say, okay, you know what, I was wrong there. That's
like how could Sam Harris or Joe Rogan turn around and say something completely different from what they've said, given that there are millions of people will just leave, or whatever, or so there's. So what I suppose I'm saying is, even when you see these mad opinions, like, does David Icke even believe David Icke at half the time? Or
But sure, look, man, look, you see with politicians just toe the party line. They don't necessarily believe what they're saying at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like the rest of us. When you're around family. Yeah.
Someone, I don't know who was, someone had interviewed Boris Johnson the other day. He has ruined that fucking name. You know that there's lots of people in Poland called Boris, and every time I think of him now, I'm just going to think of that ignoramus with his big scruffy head on him and his stupid belly and his million children by. Anyway, stop around.
Yeah, but there's definitely a lot of trauma in his past for him to have ended up like that. Like his life was probably very
person,
weird.
Man, an absolutely bad person. And so the interviewer was. Basically, the question was like, do you value truth? And he's like, and he's just trying to worm his way out of like how he can tell lies, but it's still seen as truth because he means well. And be a good
person, yeah.
So, and then he gives an example of Winston Churchill, and like for anyone, if you ever give an example of Winston Churchill, then you're just dead to me because he was a fucking scumbag as well. Like,
Yeah, but he's portrayed as one of the greatest human beings of all time. So that's why he's like, for people who don't know. Yeah, but if you don't look into it, you can understand why people might not understand this. Winston Churchill quote's a bit shit. But,
I'm wondering, like in like 50 years after Jerry Adams is dead, will there be loads of like T-shirts with Jerry Adams fucking sayings on it?
There's already that. I think in certain parts of the country.
Well, yeah, in certain parts of the internet, you can definitely buy IRA T-shirts.
Yeah, you can buy them just off Parnell Street in Dublin as well. In fairness, so
yeah, it's strange.
I actually passed that the other day. I was down in Chapters. Which is one of the huge.
Oh, they're closing! Isn't that awful?
It's horrifying when you go in and you just see, because the upstairs is now gone completely because all the secondhand stuff is downstairs, and I was going in and it's whatever, everything was price off, whatever. But what I didn't realise that everything if it had 20% off or 50% off, it also was half price again. So here's this book, and I was going, yeah, but it's no money off, and I could have got a ton of books for half price, but it's just. But in the end, I just got a book in the I Ching, so I was happy enough for like £3. Brilliant. But it's like what a bookshop, and I've bought so many books and then spent so many hours in that place.
Me too. The old one. Remember the old one? Where was the old one on not Liffey Street? What was it called? The street between Henry Street and fucking the Halfpenny Bridge. The old Chapters, not the new one. Were you ever in the old one?
Well, where the Games Workshop, that street is on.
Yeah, that's the one. I think it's that one. Yeah. That was deadly.
No, I was never in that one. Never in that one. No.
All right, that was proper. Like the only the horrible musty smell of an old bookshop.
Oh yeah.
Love that. You go in and breathe in the mold and get the mold in your lungs and die of pneumonia. Yes, I die with knowledge.
He died with knowledge.
I remember one particular day I got what the fuck is the name of Oscar Wilde's book? He only wrote one book. The Portrait of that's fucking James Joyce.
But it's
the one about the picture, Dorian Gray.
Picture of Dorian Gray, which is a huge Mandela effect for people who think it's called the Portrait of Dorian Gray, which is obviously just mixing up two famous Irish
Portrait
people.
of the Artist Young Man. That's James Joyce, which is a really good book as well. But the Dorian, I bought it, picked it up. It was like whatever. It was for nothing, £2 or £3 kind of thing. Walked up the thing, and your man got really excited. Serving me behind the counter. He's like, "Oh my god, this book is amazing!" I'm like, "Great, cool, okay, cool." And he starts going into like giving me the history of Oscar Wilde and I know a bit about him, but I just let him at it, man. I just let him have his moment. It was beautiful. And
wow.
Yeah, he was sound. Like we had a moment. It was great, you know. But that's the thing. And I remember
You don't get that with
leaving.
Amazon. You just don't get that with Amazon. Or book depository. It just doesn't happen.
I've another chapters. One thing after they moved to the new shop, which is I don't know, still 15 years ago or 10 years ago, whatever. Whenever I was leaving Ireland, and I had like loads of stuff to sell, and CDs and DVDs and books, and I went up to chapters with like I think I had 2 beer boxes of books or something, you know, and. Yeah, I got another mad reaction because I got rid of a couple of comics and stuff as well, and there was one, and the guy was saying, "Yeah, I can give you this for this, this for this, this for this," and then he went, "Oh, hold on," and he shouted over like, "Claire, come over here," and Claire came over and he's like, "Claire, he has all the Palahniuk books," and she's like, "Oh my God, I love you." You know? Okay, all right, I'm sorry, I have to sell them. I'm leaving the country. I can't bring them with me, like. Can you give me a good price for them? I don't know, whatever. I went in there with 20 books and probably, or 30, 40 books, whatever. Probably left with 30, 40 quid or whatever, which is grand. Do you know?
Grand. Yeah. It's I've sold comics and stuff back in the day that I kind of regret, but such is life. You needed the money, or you had to, do it at the time. I had all the original Akira comics, the epic ones, and the colour ones, and I sold them for nothing to Rob Curley in Subsidy. Good man though, so he's alright, so I could bring him up. Do you still have them after 20 years? No.
I'm going to buy him back for you. Yeah, at 500 times the price or something. Hey, have you seen Dune?
I have.
It's good.
I thought it was amazing. Yeah, I really, really liked it. I haven't read the book though, so that's full disclosure. So it was my first. You see it?
So, no, I watched the Man's Dune, Jodorowsky's Dune last week. Yeah. Jesus Christ, that's a fun film. I didn't even have the subtitles. But I still watched it because I mean, yeah, I would listen to French people talk for hours and not have a clue what they're saying. My God, that's a horny language. Oh my God, it's an unbelievable language. And you're like, oh my God, talk more. Yes.
I haven't seen it in, I don't know, since I was a teenager, so I can't really remember it other than.
Oh God, it's hilarious! And now, like knowing more about Jodorowsky.
Oh, man, I watched the documentary on it. Is that what you're on about? The documentary?
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, the documentary.
Yeah, no, I had mixed up my head. It was the David Lynch one I thought you were talking about there.
Oh no, that's muck. No, that's disgrace.
Oh no, right. So the documentary, yeah, I have seen that recently enough. Yeah, so I'm on board. My brain is finally in gear. Well done, Tommy. Yeah, so Jodorowsky's Dune, the documentary, yeah. It's all his stuff is in French, though, isn't it? Like it's because he lives in France now, isn't it? Like
he lives in Paris, as far as I know. Yeah. His son is in it. Remember, his young lad is in it. Jesus, he's good looking. What's with all these French people and their lovely language and their good looking people? Fucking hell! He's like, oh my God, he's gorgeous.
Not France, like I mean,
too much temptation, Tommy. Too much temptation. I wouldn't have been able to keep it in my pants, honestly. We nearly moved we did nearly move to France a few years ago, and just couldn't sell a house. Everyone was buying flats around us, and our flat just wouldn't sell, and it's just that was the angels saying, no, you're not allowed. You're not allowed, Spud. You're not allowed in France. Oh. All right.
That's sad. I think you should have worshiped your angel.
Well, I mean, I've been there. I've been to France on holiday, but not to live.
Yeah, I was only in Paris once. It was nice. I enjoyed it. We were going to go to Moulin Rouge, but it was like 9 million quid to get in. So we went, no, we won't. Leave that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do that. They walk up to him and say, "What? How much?" No,
yeah.
But he's great.
That, nice.
No, I was there for football. I didn't have time. If I was there for another day, I would have gone. All right, and said hello.
I think we had a queue for like 4 hours to get in, but like, still.
Oh, jeez, no, then I wouldn't have gone. No, me and queues don't get along.
See the Mona Lisa? It's like 1 inch by 2 inches. It's really, it's not quite, but it's very small. It's a very small bit.
Your man, I have an hour left on that Immortality key book, and he gets into some fucking cool places, man. He gets into the underground of the Vatican, and there's parts of the
full Da Vinci Code, is he? He's going full damn
yeah. It is kind of full Da Vinci Code stuff. There's paintings that he gets to see which have taken 15 years to restore and all, and he links it up with basically the second half of the book. The claim is that look, Jesus was, it's all Dionysian, which comes from a bit earlier stuff. So I mean, it's stuff you'll have heard before.
The backhouse stuff, is it like the wine?
Yeah. And so apparently some of these paintings in the catacombs under the Vatican depict Dionysian ceremonies, kind of thing, you know. So for anyone who doesn't know, they were like, so it's this claim that the Eucharist and the wine, they come from these earlier ceremonies of Greek descent based on Dionysus, where you would you'd drink this wine which was laced with whatever mushrooms or ergot or something that would get you off your nut, and then there's the whole thing about like how there was usually like a head priest or a bishop kind of thing, but then everyone else was a woman, so the women took care of making the wine and knowing how to brew it, because it was pretty difficult. You can't just go out into a field of corn and start gobbling moldy corn and get high. God, No, you can't. You can't do that. That you will die if you do that. Okay, so please don't do that. And
always eat your mold responsibly.
Always eat your mold responsibly. So he links up all that, like why where this kind of figure of Mary Magdalene comes from and all that. Like she was the head honcho, she looked after the recipes, and he makes a kind of good argument as well, is that, like, you know, they could sneak this ceremony into Europe by saying, yeah, well, it's just the women prepare that. It's fine. It's just a kitchen thing. You know, it's not some. You don't have to go to Lucius and have your big ceremony and get off your face for 5 days. No, this is just ladies in the kitchen making wine. That's all it is. It's completely harmless. You know. But obviously, along the way, we have lost. The hallucinogenic stuff was lost, and so now it's just seen as a symbol for something. But most people don't even see it as a symbol. It's like, you know, well, I mean, if you're Catholic, you're supposed to believe it's the actual blood, you know, which is a hard one to swallow. Yeah,
it's very hard to swallow.
Hey, but he says that it's that comes from the Dionysian thing of that, like, when you were drinking his wine, because he was God, he was allowed to be in the wine, so you were drinking him to become him. You know what I mean?
Oh, right.
But the Dionysian stuff's a bit madder though, because that's treading the line between, you know, having a great time and going nuts.
Yeah.
But it's a really interesting book. Your man does come up. We got 42 minutes now. Should we mention him?
Who could this be? Who could we be talking about?
He is named as the foremost expert on Empedocles. So on Parmenides, they both get a mention as well. But he doesn't give out about Kingsley not mention ergot and psychedelic drink. He just says that Kingsley knows his stuff. You know?
Right. Interesting.
But he should have said that he didn't mean.
Yeah, you can completely leave that bit out.
Because if it was Kingsley writing his book, he definitely would have given out about you, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I suppose it's similar to the Ram Dass stuff that people give out about that he didn't mention in some of his books, that, you know, you need to take LSD to really understand this. But like, I suppose from his point of view, he was quite open about it. So maybe if you meet Kingsley on the street, he's just all about the ergot. You know, he won't shut up about it. Just constantly ergot. Oh man, incubation. Anyhow, do you know anyone with any wheat fields? You know?
Maybe, yeah. It's an interesting one. I mean, this idea of the religion with no name, which was around for donkeys and donkeys of years, longer than what Christianity has been with us, like, at this stage. It's fascinating to think, like, where this came from. And, like, kind of, there's the claim that, like, we were talking about last week, how, like, we've had beer longer than we've had bread. Yeah. So therefore we've had moldy beer. Hallucinogenic beer longer than we've had bread. And he's like, he doesn't say it outright, but it's kind of like, you can read between the lines and say, like, this idea of religion is basically a byproduct of us getting off our heads on mad drink. Which is a bizarre thing to think, especially when, like, you know, me and you have had so many mystical experiences and so many people we read and all that, and it's mad to think that, like, did this start with us getting high on beer?
I assume so. Well, I mean, I suppose the other way of looking at it is that people getting high in beer and mushrooms or whatever was allowed, to go, oh, there's a possibility of seeing things in a different way. And then once you know that, then, you don't necessarily need the mushrooms or the ergot or whatever. Or is it just by people doing that the chemistry of our brains changed in order now that you can have... Does it, your brain does produce DMT, doesn't it? Like it's
Which?
Your brain itself, is it the pituitary gland or whatever in the brain?
Yeah, your brain has DMT in it anyway. Yeah, this I presume when you take it, it gets a fucking huge injection of it and doesn't know what to do with it. Ah, machine elves! Machine elves! Ah!
The strange one I always think is with people who when they take DMT or whatever and they'll end up in a place and everyone there is surprised to see them as if you're going, what are you doing here, you mad fella? Like you're just sitting around in the pub one day and this alien just comes in and he's going, I've took the wrong drugs. Lunatic here. Yeah, and just like, what was it? Well, there was just the two guys and then they were talking really fast and it kept changing subject and there was something about Kingsley. It was very strange. Yeah. They are the TaSTAs. They are the great TaSTAs that have been foretold by our people.
He's waking up from a dream now in Uranus. In Uranus. What am I saying? Slipping a tongue there. Huh? And he's like, I can teach this to people. I can teach my way. I have had a way. This is my awakening. And I will teach you how to reach the TaSTAs. Fucking hell. What a weird world we live in, huh? Isn't it mad? It's glorious though. It's great. But I don't know. I mean, it's fascinating to think that, maybe this all does stem from us getting high on stuff and being able to reach into it and see what might be there, or maybe it's not there. Maybe it is all made up. But even if it is all made up, then there seems to be a kind of collective belief in what's there. Yeah, so there's a collective kind of thing of what angels are and aren't. There's a collective there of what demons are and aren't. And even though, they will blend into each other at the sides kind of thing. I don't know. Seems to work, this magic stuff. Yeah. Spreads opinion there.
Yeah. Other opinions are available, of course. Plenty of them. I'm not really sure if we've much left to talk about. We're just coming up to 50 minutes. It was just kind of a rush. I was going to ask you about a couple because I know you have a questions and answers thing coming up. But I said actually I can just go directly to the source and just ask you today. So okay. I'm not sure if I asked you before. What attracted you to doing Servitors in the first place anyway? So it was the whole thing kind of, I suppose, stemmed from the runes. And I got really kind of into the runes at one point. I really enjoyed the kind of double aspect of it, that you had a symbol that, you could use as a divination and a symbol that you could use, put it in the air in front of you and have that. That came from, I was kind of reading a lot of Thomas Carlson at the time, which, I don't know, you can love or hate Thomas Carlson. His autobiography, his first one, is one of, it's an awful book. It's really badly translated and stuff. If anyone wants to buy it, I'll sell it to you. It cost me a lot of money as well. But he had this kind of thing of, he's a whole different approach to the runes. The standard thing is the Futark, and he thinks that because the first one is the wealth, the one that you always slag off, the cows, the cattle, and it's movable, usable wealth. It's not just some money in the bank. It's stuff that you can actually think. But he thinks that should be at the end of it, because if you use it as a kind of like a what's the word, like a path walking through the whole thing, that you don't start with your money, you don't start with the wealth, you have to get up to it. So his whole thing is the Utark, but he has a very kind of interesting approach, and I do like it. And I mean, it's definitely not right, but so what? From a case magic point of view, if it's useful, fine. Right. So it kind of had that thing of having a symbol that you could easily use, and then it's going, so it's like, because obviously I knew about the sigils and stuff like that, and I've been using them things, and Servitors have kind of been around, but I first came across the idea of, I suppose, imaginary friend for grown-ups, like the Tulpa thing a long time ago. There's a whole Reddit subreddit or Tulpa, which is a very, very strange place. The Tulpa is it's kind of a thought form that you create as like a kind of like an imaginary friend, and it comes from a bad translation. It comes from TaSTA translating badly a Tibetan thing. But the kind of thing around tulpas, I suppose, is that you there is the idea that if you leave them long enough, that they start going weird, start going bad, and they start,
Right.
so that then crossed over into the servitor stuff, which I don't think it should. But I remember when I was at college, I kind of was messing around with the ideas of tulpas, and I kept kind of thinking about this kind of lion beside me the whole time. Just kind of imagine it and as a protector and all of that. And it was kind of interesting, but I did start noticing that I could less and less control it. And not that it was doing anything, it wasn't attacking people or doing anything, but when I mean less control, I couldn't visualize it as well, and it seemed to, be falling apart. You ever try, like, when you're trying to go to sleep or whatever, and you start trying to think about something, you're trying to visualize like a bedroom or something, but it just won't come together, and it starts spinning and does a lot. So that was kind of, so I just kind of let that go. Just kind of going, well, I don't, I'm not going to make another one. It was an interesting experiment. So then when I kind of came across the idea of servitors, I'm not really sure where exactly. I know the Damon Brand book I definitely read at one point, and I really liked it, but I think I read that as I was doing the 40 Servants, just to kind of get a bit more into it. So then when I was in BOTA, which is BOTA, they don't like being called BOTA, which is Builders of the Adidium, and it's Paul Foster Case. I know you know this. It's Paul Foster Case's school, esoteric school, which teaches the tarot and Kabbalah. And so I was going through the major arcana, and he is a very interesting approach. Well, I'm sure other people do, but this is where I came across it, where he sees each character of the major arcana almost like a servitor, like an archetype or a spirit or an actual thing. So it had this. Yeah. It wasn't just something that represented it. The emperor was the emperor who you could interact with and talk to and ask and do this kind of thing. So I went, right, I'm having that. So it was kind of, and then a friend of mine asked me to do a tarot, and it was a gypsy deck. So I think it was about 36 cards. And I did that, and I kind of worked out how to do the whole game crafter thing and all of that. So it kind of all just came together as a sort of a, right, well, I've no excuse not to do it. I know how to do it. I know all the kind of elements I want, and I now have the time because I'm feeling my life is falling apart, and, it's all going away. So I have a couple of months where I can have, one last tour with the band or whatever, just go out with the thing. And so it all just kind of came together. I like the idea of servitors over kind of sigils, because it depending on what I want to do, because a sigil is a very kind of one and done thing, and it's kind of, I want this, I want sex, or I want money, or whatever it is, and it kind of feels right, so it's done. But could you it's more, servitors feel a bit more talismanic, I suppose, to me, in that this is something that can continue on, or you can build, or it can, so it seems a more resourceful way of using your time than constantly having to do sigils every week for money. Just have a money servitor, or something that's reminds you or keeps you in the whatever you think a servitor is. But I definitely think servitors are thought forms. I don't approach them in the way I would spirits. But the problem, I suppose, with that is that there's, would say, like the 40 Servants, is that there is aspects and archetypes and different things, and there is an overlap and all of that. And I suppose it depends on which way you approach them, or you want to. But equally, again, at the end, non-dual, it's all one anyway. So it depends on where on the ladder you stop, and you look and go, well, what is the mother today? Well, the mother is just a servitor, and 2 steps up, well, the mother is actually the archetype of the mother. 4 steps up, it's the earth, or whatever. It's the, it's what's Newit or whatever, from the, like a thalamic point of view, the overall thing. But I suppose it's just that thing then, I suppose, with servitors as well, which this comes out, I suppose, from hanging around with Alan Chapman and the kind of Magia and the 3-tier thing that he has, that the very first, and we've talked about this before, the very first thing when you get involved with magic and stuff like that is the power is external to you, because that's how it feels. You're coming because something is wrong, you want to change something, you want to get your boyfriend back, you want to get a better job, you want to get a court case, you want to get let off or whatever, and it all feels that you have to petition something in order to get that. You need help, so you go to a saint, you go to a god, you go to whatever, and it's outside. So that's, I think, the first approach that people have to, like, the 40 Servants. But I think then it goes that you realise that you are also this thing, and that it's what you are looking for, rather than the healer being outside, it's the healer inside. So you become the healer, and then it's, it goes from evoking to invoking. But you can't really do with a sigil, you know what I mean? It's not, how do you invoke a sigil, And then the third thing, of course, is then you realise that there's no duality at all, and there's it's not inside you, it's not you, there's no them, there's all that kind of thing. So so that's why I like Servitors. Is that actually answering your question? I think. Maybe. Yeah.
No, but like you weren't at any time like. I said you did the Tulpa. How do you pronounce it?
Tulpa.
Tulpa. So you were doing the Tulpa thing, but like you weren't. Like okay. So before the 40, you didn't have like 5, 6, 7, 8 servitors around.
No, I would have used servitors before the 47. I would have done things like had like because an awful lot of how servitors are actually done is that you install them in something. I installed them obviously into a symbol and a card, but they're usually installed into like a statue or a stone or toys or something that you can like a skull, and you see, so I'm going to put a protection servitor, and this is the representation of it. I put it on top of my altar, I put it in my mantelpiece, whatever, and that's protecting the house. It's used. So I would have done experimented with having different type of things like that, but nothing that I obviously didn't keep them. So they're not. Some of the Funko, I'm looking up the shelf. Some of the Funko Pops I did try stuff with that as well, but I always leave it with the servitor stuff that if I'm not giving it attention, then it goes away. So then that kind of is the get out clause of how you for people who are scared, I suppose, about the running riot aspect of these things, which I think is overplayed. Because it seems to me that the most people who use servitors whose lives then, the servitors then run riot, are people whose lives are a bit chaotic anyway. It seems to amplify that rather than it being the nature of a servitor itself. But I mean, be safe or whatever. So yeah, stuff like I would have installed servitors into statues in the same way that you're kind of, there's the idea of installing a spirit into a particular statue or a saint into a statue, where you buy a statue of Saint Cyprian and before it becomes Saint Cyprian or reps it, you have to call down Saint Cyprian and install him into the statue and say, this is, be part, so this is the same thing. Which, I don't know, it's one of those things that seems to work, but it would work whether it was true or not, because you've decided it works. So it's hard to tell whether it's actually a real needed thing. Like if you decide that this is now more a representation of something than it was a minute ago, then who's to say it isn't? It's already in your head. But it's worth investigating that kind of stuff. But like say the things you have in your background there, where you have the kind of sigilly stuff, I would say that's your bottom two, which are the ones you create yourself. I would say that's more servitor than sigil. Like,
yeah. Well, I think when I made them, they would have been as a sigil, but they're just kind of they just keep hanging around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So no, like at the start, I was like, okay, I'll make them and I'll give them away to someone, but then it hasn't come up that way. So obviously they want to stay around, and since making them, I don't know, they're kind of maybe not lucky, but I think, I don't know, it's weird, it's hard to explain. I think whatever is in it has the best interest at heart for me.
Does it feel external to you? Like, is it something that isn't you, or what you feel? There's no right answer, obviously. I'm just interested, like, in what you feel it is.
Yeah, it would feel external in the same way that like a HDA is external, even though I know the non-duality of it as well.
Yeah.
There's to know what it is, there has to be a separation of it as well.
Yeah.
So I see through it, that thing of it, but they're definitely, but also they are external.
Yeah, I'd
well,
feel the same way about I suppose the fourth servants, and that they do, depending on again what part of the ladder you're on, and what you're engaging with it, that they feel external. But I also it's because I've made them feel external for the
yeah. I think that these things but I think it's just a kind of like, how to explain it? It's kind of like going up to a beer barrel and tapping into it. You know what I mean? Like a giant one. Not that you're going to miss any at the top ramp, but this huge giant one. You just tap into it and you get a bit of the golden nectar from there rather than there. And this has a little bit more, whatever, hints of oak, chocolate from it or whatever. So that's the way I kind of see it. That you're tapping into the spirit realm. And it's all one and the same thing. But it's a particular something of it. Yeah, and it's kind of, I suppose,
there's a great kind of explanation of that cosmology in the Notorious B.I.G.'s Recognition Centers, Christopher Wallace's, where he talks about exactly that. So that's worth checking out.
Yeah.
Where he talks about
good book.
It's very good. Yeah, I've actually ordered the paperback. It's arriving today because it's just like you need to sit with that rather than an audiobook.
Yeah, you need a pen with that. You need to attack that fucker.
He has a good cosmology. Alan Chapman also talked about Monday the Treats, which is very similar with the gods above gods and then a separately one god and all. So it's obviously a classical enough representation of it. But I suppose one way I can kind of understand it myself is that with the external and the internal thing is that in some way the flavour or the understanding of what, say, the healer is in the same way my understanding of what sadness is, in that I can feel it. It's kind of external, but I know it's me. It's like or anger has a kind of physical location in you or something like that, and it feels like it's anger sometimes just something that arrives and encapsulates you rather than it's you being angry, and it has that kind of I suppose sense that while anger can feel external, it isn't. It clearly isn't, because it's arising. Although from an awareness, being aware of aware point of view, it is something that's arising in awareness, so it's not you. So it all depends. I mean, where you want to situate, what day you're having, I suppose. It's all that kind of. But I do think then the ultimate one, the third one, is that obviously it is the complete non-dual thing where there's no separation because there is no delineation. There's no kind of.
Yeah, he starts off in the book talking about Shiva, and then Shiva needing to dance with Shakti, wasn't it?
Yeah. Shakti being energy, creative. Energy.
Yeah,
energy, creative energy. Yeah.
What's the other names they have from Prana and not Vipassana, Prana and bollocks.
Well, Prana is the life, the life force.
Yeah,
energy.
And there's the other one is the breath force, isn't it? Is that it?
Pranayama is breath
That's
force.
That's the one. Yeah. So. Yeah, but the way he starts off is that so there's the Shiva is it, but then Shiva needed to do something, so Shiva had the crack with Shakti, and then that led to all the other kind of stuff, and it's not yeah.
That's my favourite bit of that. That's why I'm really attracted to the Tantra thing, because the Shakti element of it, because most of the non-dual stuff is just the Shiva element, where it's the awareness, it's the being, and that's it.
Yeah.
Well, no, there's the Shakti. This is why this is happening. This is the good thing. This is the emanation of God, or whatever we want to look at it. Which, as much I love Rupert Spira, at least in the stuff I've seen, he's only concerned with Shiva. And that's it.
Yeah.
There's kind of, and I'm only really concerned with Shakti because that's how I feel. That's how it kind of comes out. So I mean, there's obviously an imbalance with me too that I need to. But I'm aware of awareness and all that kind of stuff. But that's the bit I was always missing from the non-dual kind of stuff, where it was like, but what is this thing? Other than, it's an illusion. It's a dream. It's all that stuff that just annoys me. But even though it is, I understand it all is too, but it's the kind of implication behind it that it's a bad thing, and I don't think it's a bad thing because it doesn't feel.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't think it's bad at all. It's just, it is what it is. I mean, you had it in a video a while ago. You were saying it's just was it 2 or 3 videos ago? You were just saying it's just the nature of the place. You're never going to fix all your problems.
No, yeah.
But it's just you have to try and learn to deal with them as best you can and face them head on.
I just know that's all. It's like cliches are cliche because they're true. That's
exactly, yeah.
But it's that kind of. But it's the Buddhist thing, isn't it? Like in one sense, but slight different flavour on it. In that, where you are right now is where you're always going to be. Wanting things, being sad about things, being angry about things, always, and knowing that, it's like trying to explain to someone that, I can't wait, to get this new car. Oh yeah, it'd be great. And as soon as you get the car, that's gone, and they want the next car or whatever the thing, and you kind of go, well, you're always going to be in a place where you want a new car. No, and but the realization, and then to be able to sit in that and be okay with it. It's hard with certain things, but I think that's the goal, not the goal, that's the way, but without, because the thing I struggled with that was that it kind of felt like that was saying to not want things or not strive or not be creative.
Yeah, it makes you guilty for wanting to have a new jacket and winter is coming.
Yeah, but it's not that, but it's not that. No. And it took me a long time to and I don't know how to explain why it's not that, but it's not that. It's just kind of going, this is how it is. That's fine. But still do your thing, you know. But realize that doing your thing isn't going to solve all the things.
Sure, yeah.
I think there's a bit of peace in that kind of thing. But you know, because it's that thing, the catch-22 that comes with the Buddhism wanting to get rid of desire is in itself a desire. So, you know, get out of that one.
Wait, I have an 8-fold path for that, lads. What? The other thing was like 4 things, and now you're throwing another 8 at us. Come on, man.
And then, and then there's any amount of lists that you want after that. The 5 hindrances, the 14 snakes, 16 dwarfs.
Don't they say that like Buddha was the first awakened man, or the first
Buddhist?
Right. Yeah. Why did they say that? Because, I mean, he had the language and he had the terminology from previous the Vedics before him. So why does he get this?
Or the Theosophists anyway, say that Jesus was the first self-realised, self-actualised man. So I'm sure other people say...
but they would have known. They knew a fair bit about Buddhism. Why would they?
I mean, you still have people today who say that they have had the greatest awakening experience of anyone. Rosa Lewis, for instance,
that's true, actually.
She says she's had the greatest. So it's like, it depends on what way you want to. Like, but the Buddha himself talked about his incarnation, his previous incarnations. So, but is that to imply that he wasn't fully realized? And I don't know. I mean, of all of the stories, the Buddha story is not to be taken literally at all. Like, it does it like it's, and they don't claim it to be. You know, it's kind of. That whole his sutras or his writings were good. Did he actually say it? Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Is it helpful? Is it getting you where you want? That's what matters. You know, the question asked about, you know, what happens when you die, and it's what is the question doesn't fit the case, whatever. There's no point to that question, because it's whatever answer is not going to help you anyway. Like, so, and it's already knowable. You know, and that's fair. You know, but well, I mean, I'm sure the Greeks thought they were awakened. You know, and that's previous.
I would presume that they would have, yeah. You know,
and all the people we don't know, you know, because they're not written down. Because even in that Recognition Sutra, there's a guy, the book he's translating talks about people who we've no history about, we know nothing about, who are really, you know, because they've been name checked and such, but were really famous at the time, and they're just, you know, names have absolutely been lost to history. So there's definitely some cool hippies out, awakened hippies from, you know, 6,000 years ago that knew things. Yeah.
Chaps herding cattle down on the Ukrainian border with what do they call it? The mountain steppes, whatever countries down there, I don't remember. That's apparently where all the Proto-Europeans come from. So, like, I mean, yeah, they must have had a priestly caste who were, you know, off their head on mushrooms and ergot, getting awakened. But then, like, everyone else was like up to their knees in cow shit, going like, this is terrible. Why can't we be born 3,000 years later? They don't even have cars. Toilets. My God, I'd kill for a toilet.
Or, you know, we were all born awakened and something happened. Like, as I say, the fall is the thing that, and we all forgot. There's that kind of theory. But I don't know.
Yeah.
We're never going to know. So. There's no
well, yeah, we are never going to. That's the thing that I was talking to Nuggin about this stuff. This is like my whole angel quest, is I want answers, you know what I mean? But like, I'm not, I know I'm not going to find them, you know.
Well, like, my whole quest was all the answers. My thing was always, why is this happening? I'm not really concerned about, you know, the mechanics of it too much. I want to know what's happening. And I think there's the kind of, I don't think there is an answer that you can probably have that will satisfy you. And also, you have to kind of acknowledge that the answer, you know, you might know the answer, but you just don't like it. You know, and so that's the hard bit, you know.
There's definitely that too, like, don't know. Sure, but I think it's still, well, for me anyway, it's still important to ask. But I've always been like this. I've always been like, you know, why? Why?
Yeah,
you know, because I like to get to the bottom of stuff, and it's not about. It's just wanting to know. It's kind of like, okay, I've never been the type of person that like took apart a guitar to see how a guitar works, because I'm like, no, guitars are expensive. Like, I'm not going to break that. But like, I can break my mind. That's fine.
Yeah. Or someone else's guitar.
Oh yeah, exactly. If someone is throwing out a guitar or that's broken, then I'll take it apart or whatever. But yeah, it's. But
I always took everything apart and rebuilt things and all that. I was always still into.
You see,
I do it less and less now because I know how much things cost. I go, better not open up this piano and see what's inside. Yeah.
I would have been going around to your house watching you do it. And not getting involved in the crime because of it. No, I didn't do it. I'm just watching. I'm taking notes. For if I'm ever needed in a court of law to prove that it was Tommie was under the influence of machine elves, it wasn't Tommie at all. We had taken a whole bag of mushrooms and things got a bit mad.
I think though, it's serious. Though, the why is an important question because if you don't have the why this is happening, if you don't have a satisfying answer to that, then you don't. Speak about myself. I don't know what I'm meant to be doing because if you don't know the ultimate goal or the ultimate thing, it's like, then what am I doing? I'm guessing, or I'm just the response is, well, it's to just experience it. Yeah, but you can experience things wrongly. You can do it.
Yeah, I don't think that's enough. I don't think that's enough just to say that, life is, being alive is just about being alive. It's like, no.
No.
Goebbels was alive. How did he do? Not so great.
Yeah.
Even in the sutra book, he brings up that Austrian with the mustache pretty fucking early.
He does. Yeah, he does.
That's fucking uncomfortable. That's really uncomfortable when his name comes up in spirituality books. But that's also experience. I think you have to look at the kind of morality stuff that the Greeks were talking about, and it's like, no, okay, it's important to be alive and realize you're alive, because I think that's what free will basically is. It's the free will to live under your biases, your conditionings, yada yada yada, and try to live the 9 to 5 and keep up with the Joneses and go with that and see how happy that makes you. Or the choice is to say, and I think this is what it is the free will to say, I see them, I see the biases, I see the programming, I don't need to live that way, I can break the cycle. I think I think that's what it is. But as well, then the the thought's gone out of my fucking head. You did it to me again, Tommie. You looked me straight in the eyes and took it.
Well, the thing is, when you do that, though, when you see the cycles and or the pendulums or the vortexes or the rolls or any of these things, it's also not think that because you see them that you're better than these people.
That you're above them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what it is. The Greeks were saying it's to live good, to live morally, and not become a fucking Genghis Khan or Pol Pot or any of these motherfuckers.
But also, which is the horrible thing in a sense, and the thing we're not allowed to talk about, I suppose, and might make us uncomfortable. If everything is an emanation of divinity, then so is Genghis Khan. We say that he got it wrong, and that's what makes us. That's kind of one of the areas where we're not like the same. The Austrian guy. You can't talk about that because it's like who wasn't that? Who was the football manager, the football player who said something about
Glenn Hoddle.
Glenn Hoddle started talking
disabled
about
people, handicapped people,
and then he said that Hitler also had a spiritual mission or there was something, and again, that was one of the first cancellations of someone, I think, like that's what happened. Good luck to you. But it is, it's if we say everything's coming from divinity, then so is the bad stuff, and it's
absolutely, yeah.
So the idea that we can't say that or we can't talk about that is one thing, but it's also, well, is it bad stuff? I don't like that because clearly World War II was bad stuff. You know what I mean? I suppose it's the whole idea of looking at the darkness, isn't it? And looking at it, and I don't know. Not is it possible to look at horror? Yeah, something unbearable and bear it. And I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at in my practice at the minute. I'm looking at unbearable stuff, and I'm not able to bear it, but I will. But it's just it's like that thing I've talked about before. I think I talked about it before. Well, I know you know about it, but it's just the sadness thing that I have. I'm sure I've talked about it in the podcast before. And it's just it's not. I'm not able to bear it. So it's in this kind of area of looking at the darkness and seeing what it is. Or if I knew the answer, I would be able to bear it. But I'm kind of lost in that.
Of course, yeah.
There's probably something in around that in being unable to accept the cruelty. Or seeing the terribleness that happens as an aspect of divinity. That's probably the unbearable thing. But I don't know. That's logic, trying to work it out rather than...
Yeah, of course, yeah. No one wants to think that the lovey-dovey, huggy God or chi or universe that we all want to be one with. You don't want to think that, all the wars,
Yeah.
all the wars,
Yeah.
all
the
of
homeless
them.
kids, all
all
that stuff.
Kids with leukemia. What's the quote today? What's the quote from? Is it Voltaire? I think Voltaire said, "Look, oh no, you will know who it is. You will know who it is who is in control. Those who you cannot criticize." The other pictures, children with leukemia. It's like, whoa!
yeah. Point well made.
Oh, very funny. Yeah. they're our actual masters. I don't know, Tommie. I mean, I the only way I've made sense of it is in two different ways, and I don't know which one is the more correct answer, or if any of them are correct. So one is that, like, bad things happen because somewhere up the line mistakes are made, you know? So World War II basically happened because Hitler wasn't brought up properly or loved properly or became a racist. That's the thing, okay? And if that hadn't happened, then the other things wouldn't happen. So it's a cause and effect thing. I think that's where badness comes from. It's a cause and effect thing, in that something which we would see as bad or shouldn't have happened happens, and then it leads to other things down the line. But then the other thing is that, like, maybe when we're here, or incarnated here, maybe we're kind of given a free run at it, and then at the end, when we're sitting up there with St. Peter, he's like, "Yeah, no, you fucked that up, didn't you?
Yeah, that wasn't
you
great.
bastard." Do you know? And but joke aside, but then it's like by your lived experience, then what's above us learns from that. But
like
the only thing is that the only thing is, with the Carl Jung thing, right? The answer to Job. But the only thing is that, like, the problem with that is that, like, well, then why is God learning so fucking slowly? Like, we've had too many wars. Can we please stop that? But then again, he's outside of time, so he hasn't got a fucking clue of what time is.
Or it's more complicated than that. That, you know, that it's like, because I suppose the problem of cruelty and all that starts with thinking that God knows what he's doing. And if he doesn't, then it makes it slightly more.
Carl Jung's answer to Job is like, no, God doesn't know what he's doing. He's working this out more slowly than we are.
But equally, Carl Jung was saying, like, that Job became a better person than God, so God had to elevate himself because humanity had evolved more.
Exactly. So, like, if we all become good and better people, then wars will stop. Well, yeah, obviously it makes sense. You know, let's be good people. Let's try and be good. And be good. I did something the other day. I unfollowed everyone who put stuff about Veterans Day, because I'm like, you were in the army? I liked you. Oh God, you killed people. It sucks to know people who've killed people, doesn't it?
Pacifists. Yeah. I'm. Do I know anyone? I'm sure I do. I don't ask the question, so. It's
I never told you about I worked in an IRA pub before, did I? No, I'll tell you that off air. And I worked with a good few people who had been in prison for bombings, and it's hard to be friends with people like that. You know, like, as much as me and you joke about the English and the Brits and Irish independence and all that stuff, you know, obviously
you're not putting a bomb in a car and leaving it in Oxford Street.
Yeah, you know, we're obviously both proud Irishmen, you know. Fucking Murphy and Kelly here, Jesus Christ, like. But at the same time, it's like, shit, man, you killed people.
Yeah.
For fucking a dumb reason. Okay, someone bursts into your house and fucking holds you up hostage. Yeah, grand, okay, I'll do everything within my power to end that fucker's life. But, like, you killed what? You know? So, yeah.
And it's tough. And I mean, and like, the problem, I suppose, not the problem, the issue is that it's everyone thinks they're doing, whether it's war, whether it's, you know, terrorism, whether it's, I don't know, everyone thinks they're doing the right thing. I was going to say,
people who sell Jaffra, Tupperware, things like that.
Yeah.
They're the same as terrorists, you know. And summer's parties.
Multi-level marketing, war, terrorism, any of those similar things. Hell, but it's like they all think they're like. Well, I mean, I suppose the multi-level marketing. They know they're doing the right thing. Yeah, they think they're doing the right thing. But it's But I mean, so you can go right. People standing up for justice. People think, you know, with the Irish Republican Army stuff, the terrorism stuff, depending on what way you want to look at it. You know, it's 600 years of occupation, all the bad things that are fighting against that. It's war. You can justify it all, whatever. And you go, right, okay, fine. But how is, say, someone who's abusing kids? How can they think they're the good person in that story?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't work in every situation. Like people go, oh, they're trying to do the best thing, or you know, they think they're the good person. Hitler thought he was the good person. Yeah, but I don't think everyone thinks they're a good person. I think some people. But I suppose, yeah, maybe it's then there's something wrong with them. Like they're an actual, you know, like the psychopath, or there's some sort of brain chemistry change, or they've no empathy or whatever. So. I don't know. We're not going to sort it out in this podcast, but we're not going to get to the end of this.
Well, I mean, no, but that's the thing. No, but to go back to your video, it's the nature of the place. Like, we don't have to sort it out, but we just have to do our best anyway.
Yeah, well, by sort it out, I mean understand it rather than try and fix it. In the, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because like, I mean, that as the man said, it's the nature of the place in which we find ourselves.
And but as well, like, I mean, it's a great way of thinking about it, because it's not okay. I think you can misunderstand it and say, oh, well, that's just life. No, that's not the way to be. It's like, okay, this is how the world is a challenge. It's not easy, you know what I mean? Yeah. And when you sort out something, sure as fuck, you're going to have another challenge along in about 30 seconds time. It's the nature of it. And it's kind of like, okay, let's try and live with that, and live with our heads, what am I saying? Our heads held high, and lived well and morally, and you know, be brave and be just. And do not come to my house selling fucking Tupperware, fucking Jaffa parties. Remember Jaffa parties in the 80s?
Yeah.
Fucking hell, all these menopausal, all these menopausal old women coming in and selling fucking, selling makeup to farmers' wives. Like, what the hell, like. Why are you trying to beautify yourself for? Like, you can literally see the marks of the weltings on your legs. Like, that's how often you wear them. You know what I mean? You're not Cindy Crawford. Jesus Christ. Go milk a sheep.
As I cough up a lung.
I've never milked a sheep. I milked a cow before. I'd say, I don't know. Goats are meant to be alright. Sheep aren't meant to be very friendly now. I don't know when you go to milk them. So I've heard. Don't know. Sheep's milk is nice though. Goat's milk is better.
I've had sheep's cheese and I've had milk and goat. I don't like goat's milk. It just tastes like goat. The smell of goat.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Always,
I like it when you get past that though.
When you ever go to a wedding as a vegetarian, you'll always get a goat's cheese tartlet. That's just the standard, and it's just like, no, I'll have nothing, please.
I'll have the tartlet, take the cheese off it.
I'll just have the wine for the toast. That'll be fine.
Your Guinness guru is great. Thanks for sharing him to me.
Yeah, he's really good, isn't he?
Guinness guru on YouTube. And he has like the top 10 pubs in Dublin, and I was like, I've been to 8 of them. I was like, that's pretty cool.
I was only to 3. That's as good as I got.
But you didn't live in Dublin, so you know.
And one of them wouldn't let him film, and it obviously just didn't understand the internet at all. Are you going to pay for the pint? Are you going to pay for it? You're not filming in here.
The one that always annoyed me was the Gravediggers pub, which is supposed to be like the best pint of Guinness in all Dublin. And I fucking hell, it was the next pub to me. I was managing a pub just down the road from it, and that's where the lads used to go on their break and stuff. Right. Because in Ireland, this is what you do on your break from work. You go have a load of pints. Yeah. If you work in a pub or the service industry, we'll say,
or
because
it's
or especially in an office. You have your lunch break and you find the nearest pub and they'll try and drink 5 pints within an hour, and which is positive. You can do it and you come back in great form until about an hour later, and then just the depression of it then.
A lot of urination in the afternoon
but yeah, that's the pub I hadn't been to, and I was like, fucking hell, I had so many chances to go, and for years I'd heard about how great that pub was, and I just never fucking got around to going up to it. But anyway,
9.3 he gave. He's very tough. Now I have to say he
is tough.
Like, he's like, oh, this is an amazing pint. 7.2. What? No shtick.
No shtick. Yeah. Shtick is when the line of the Guinness as you drink it sticks to the glass. That's a sign of a good pint.
So there was one.
We're very particular about Guinness in Ireland. Yeah. Very particular.
Like some of the pints you could see in the. Now we're talking about watching a video about someone drinking. It's the most Irish thing I've ever done in my life. Some of the pints just go, oh, man, that just looks like an amazing.
The one in Mulligan's, the first one.
What's it? Boyers, what's that one? That
Bose.
Yeah, that looked amazing.
Yeah.
And then there's other ones we just go, yeah, that's a wedding pint if ever I've seen one.
I'd love a pint now. Tommie, come on, let's go get a drink. Bye, everyone.
Bye, Guinness.